Welcome back, Sunshine Fam. My name is Chloe. Thanks for joining me today. This is going to be a little bit of a rant today. Hope you all are doing well. But given recent events going on in this country, the first thing I really want to do, don't want to get rid of it, shoot. First thing I want to do is I want to exercise some rights of mine. And I want to tell you, sorry, I was supposed to be more prepared than this. I would like to exercise my First Amendment rights. First Amendment has several different rights, but the one I'm talking about is freedom of speech. And what it says here is the First Amendment protects the freedoms of religion, speech, the press, assembly, and petitioning the government, preventing Congress from establishing a religion or abridging these rights for the people. Adopted in 1791 as part of the Bill of Rights, it ensures that individuals can practice any religion, express themselves without government censorship, publish their views through any medium, gather peacefully in public, and communicate with the government to address grievances. Well, I'd like to concentrate on the freedom of speech today, which protects the ability, it guarantees the right to be free from government punishment for what you say. So, let's start there. And today, I'd like to talk about what this country has been going through since January 20th. So let's start with a man named Nicolae Carpathia. Now, granted, for those of you that know, Nicolae Carpathia is a fictional character in the book series Left Behind. So let's find out a little bit about this character. He was born in Romania. He started out in the lower house of government, which led him to be president eventually, and then becoming Secretary General of the UN, and ending him up as the leader of the world. For those of you that don't know about Left Behind, it is a Christian book series. It has 3 sequels, 12 books originally, and then 3 prequels, 12 books, and then a sequel. And it explains in simple detail the book of Revelation and what we will be facing in the future. Now, granted, this is just two authors' interpretation of Revelation, one of whom has since passed away. Very good book series. If you haven't heard about it, if you haven't read them, I suggest you do so. YouTube has a series that I have the whole series on CD. But if you type in Left Behind dramatic audio, you can listen to the whole thing. And I know I've mentioned that in my previous episodes or my previous videos as well. Nicolae Carpathia gave the impression of being a pacifist at first, but then he ended up becoming the Antichrist. He had the world donate, at the beginning, he had the world donate 10% of their weapons to the UN and destroy the remainder, which goes into his pacifist role. He eventually was headquartered in what they called New Babylon in Iraq. His right-hand man was named Leon Fortunato. Remember that name. He was never married, but he was a womanizer. So let's jump to our current leader, and I use that term lightly. I call him Nicolae Carpathia because a lot of what he does mirrors the fictional character in the books. So our current leader was born in 1946 in New York, New York. His parents were Fred and Mary Ann. His ancestry, He is German Bolivian, or Bolivian German, whatever it's called. He has absolutely no military experience. He might be a great businessman, but he's also a womanizer. He's been married like 4 times, I think. His current net worth as of yesterday was $7.2 to $7.8 billion. And he has had bankruptcies. So let me go to that. I thought, let's see, where was that one at? I copied quite a bit of stuff that I found on the internet, and I know you can't always trust everything you hear on the internet, but Hillary Clinton once said, "You've taken business bankruptcies 6 times," to which he responded, "On occasion, 4 times. We used certain laws that are there." So what Google told me, which I know you can't trust everything you read, but his companies have filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, which means a company can remain in business while wiping away many of its debts. The bankruptcy court ultimately approves a corporate budget and a plan to repay remaining debts. Often, shareholders lose much of their equity. Now, this person's Taj Mahal opened in April of 1990 in Atlantic City, but 6 months later, he defaulted on interest payments to bondholders as his finances went into a tailspin, the Washington Post's Robert O'Hara found. In July of 91, his Taj Mahal filed for bankruptcy. He could not keep up with debts on 2 other Atlantic City casinos, and those 2 properties declared bankruptcy in 92. A 4th property, the Plaza Hotel in New York, declared bankruptcy in 92 after amassing debt. PolitiFact uncovered 2 more bankruptcies filed after 92, totaling 6. His hotels and casinos resorts filed for bankruptcy again in 2004 after accruing about $1.8 billion in debt. His entertainment resorts also declared bankruptcy in 2009 after being hit hard during the 2008 recession. So why the discrepancy? Well, perhaps this will give us an idea. He told the Washington Post reporters that he counted the first 3 bankruptcies as just one. Really? Of course, everything he says is the truth, right? I think we can believe that. Sorry, I refuse to use his real name. Okay. So, we're in his 2nd term, right? So let's talk about some of his early executive orders. He renamed the Gulf of Mexico to the Gulf of America, and he pardoned all those that were jailed from the Capitol siege. He also renamed a mountain in the Northwest back to Mount McKinley. Now, his mantra is Make America Great Again, or MAGA, right? If you go back and watch my presidential highlights videos, when has this country ever really been great to begin with? And if he's so against all what the other presidents did, then why does he use the word again? Think about that. He also has claimed that Hitler was a brilliant man. In his presidential debate with Kamala Harris, he claimed Russia wouldn't have invaded Ukraine had he been president because he was friends with Putin. Well, if he was such great friends with Putin, then why did he need the title of president to prevent him from invading Ukraine? I'm just passing along facts here, folks. A lot of what he does not make sense. And to tell you the truth, when I was racking my brain last night to think of things that he's done right, I couldn't think of one thing. Now, granted, I don't do a lot of research on him because I can't stand even his name. So let's go back even further. Remember that big fight he had with Rosie O'Donnell over the Miss America pageant? That went kind of viral over TV. He had hired Elon Musk as his special government employee, which later turned into a huge temper tantrum that went viral. That was started by Musk, and Musk took it to social media, and after that, he left his position. Nobody really hears about Elon Musk anymore. Anyway, speaking of Elon Musk, who did I say Nikolai Carpathia's right-hand man was? Leon Fortunato? Elon? Leon? Is there a coincidence there? Maybe. Thank you, Silver Star, for pointing that out to me. Assassination attempts. There were 4 of them. One on June 18th of 2016 in Las Vegas. The second one was September 6th of 2017 in North Dakota. Something about some guy trying to take a forklift and ram it into his motorcade when he was on his campaign trail. The next one happened just last year, July 13th of 2024 in Butler, Pennsylvania. That was aired on live TV when he was at a rally. And then the other one was September 13th of 2024. It was at his international golf course in Florida. Some guy had been stalking him all day, waiting for him to show up. Now, this gets a little bit hairy because I wrote this first part down before I did a little bit more research. Teddy Roosevelt and Ronald Reagan, I put, were the only other presidents with attempted assassinations, but that's not exactly true. Of course, we all saw the Ronald Reagan one. This website, which I was going to write down the websites too, but I forgot to do that. It also mentioned Robert Kennedy and FDR. Now, we all know that Robert Kennedy was shot and killed, and as was JFK and Lincoln. Those 2 were also killed during their presidencies. So let's move into a little bit more recent times. 2018, Parkland, Florida. We all know what happened there. In his meeting with the children and some of the family members at the White House, he said it was a good idea to arm teachers. Really? Some teachers challenged him on that, and they actually brought a gun to school. One teacher, I remember, was in an empty classroom and started firing outside his classroom, to which there were students, I think, in either side of his classroom, in different classrooms, heard the gunshots. They called 911, and this guy got pulled, from what I remember, he got pulled out of his classroom through the window and got arrested, and the guy said, I wasn't trying to hurt anybody, I had blanks, and even showed them to him. And he said, I was trying to prove a point to our leader that we should not have guns. And the second one actually had fired into the ceiling during his class with students in the classroom. Not a really smart idea. Talk about PTSD for those kids. In 2020, during COVID, and this is on YouTube, so don't say that he said that he never said this, because I looked it up one time. He said in a press conference to Dr. Fauci that people should ingest disinfectant to get rid of COVID, because disinfectant was used to wipe off counters and stuff like that. Seriously? Talk about Nikolai Carpathia. His approval ratings. Let's go to that, shall we? So there's a website called The Economist, and I go to this every now and again. So, let's see if that'll focus in. There we go. See that graph? The bottom line is his terms, both terms. I don't know how well you can see the top 2 lines. The very top line is Obama, and the second line is Biden. Now you notice how Obama stays in the positive the whole time? Biden starts in the positive, ends in the negative. But Obama ended with a 7% approval rating at the end of his term. Biden ended with a negative 7%. Our current leader, it shows 40% approve, 55% disapprove, and 4% are not sure. He started out in the positive and very quickly, like in March, went below in the negative, and he's been in the negative ever since. And as of last night, his approval rating is a negative 17%. So you can keep an eye on that. All you have to do is go to Google and type in Trump approval ratings, And that'll go to The Economist, and that will come up. Okay, so now his most recent activities. He once was against President Zelensky, who's the president of the Ukraine. He even do you remember this? I don't know if you saw this on the news. He kicked him out of the White House after their meeting because at that time it was our leader and then the Vice President J.D. Vance, and they kept asking Zelensky why doesn't he honor the ceasefire between himself and Putin. And while Zelensky was trying to answer them, saying, it wasn't me that was firing, it was Putin. Putin keeps breaking the ceasefire. These two leaders of our country kept interrupting him and talking over him. And they ended up kicking him out of the White House. They were supposed to have lunch with him that day. And this was all caught on camera. Go to YouTube and look it up. They were making me so mad because they wouldn't shut up and listen to him. Listen to Zelensky. Now, our new Carpathia sides with Zelensky, and apparently he hates Putin. Because now he's seeing that what Zelensky was saying is true. It is Putin that keeps the war going. He also says he'll end the fight between Hamas and Israel. Well, right now, Hamas claims they'll partially agree with his proposal. But he said on live TV the other day, Israel and Iran have been fighting so long and so hard they don't know what the F they're doing. This was on live TV. Okay? Well, I put on your messenger, so I have something about that. Okay, maybe this is it. Okay, so what I found about this, I looked it up about abuse of power, because you hear that a lot since January. It says, while no single legal definition exists for abuse of power by a U.S. president, the term refers to the misuse of the president's authority for personal political benefit or to undermine constitutional and democratic functions. Now, while all of this doesn't really pertain to what I just said, some of it does. It is often associated with corruption and can be an impeachable offense under the category of high crimes and misdemeanors. Actions generally considered an abuse of power include interfering with elections, remember his first term in office? This can involve pressuring foreign governments to interfere in U.S. elections or otherwise corrupting the democratic process. In 2019, he was impeached for soliciting Ukraine to publicly announce investigations that would harm a political opponent. Obstructing justice and legitimate investigations. A president abuses their power by interfering with or impeding lawful inquiries, such as those conducted by Congress or the Department of Justice. Richard Nixon was cited for obstruction of justice and abuse of power for his role in the Watergate cover-up. Weaponizing federal agencies against political opponents. I'm thinking this is not the one that I meant to read right now. A president abuses power by using agencies like the IRS or the Department of Justice to target enemies or grant political favors. Violating the separation of powers. This includes a president overreaching their executive authority into the powers of Congress, such as bypassing the power of the purse to improperly withhold funds appropriated by the legislature. Yeah, I don't think this is the one I meant to read, but anyway, I'll keep going. Another example is issuing unconstitutional executive orders that are later overturned by courts. Corrupt use of the pardon power. While the president's pardon power is broad, using it for corrupt purposes, such as to protect allies who are loyal to the president, is considered an abuse. Dismantling ethical standards and retaliating against watchdogs, firing independent inspectors general or officials who testify against the administration for personal reasons, not good cause, is widely viewed as an abuse of power. Well, this kind of, if I pass over this next part, because it has to do with the judiciary system, inciting or encouraging insurrection in 2021, the House of Representatives impeached Donald Trump for incitement of insurrection for his role in the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol, thus going back to what I was saying about him pardoning all those people. Engaging in financial self-dealing, exploiting the office for personal or family financial gain, violating constitutional emoluments clauses, or mixing private business with public office are classic abuses of power. So yeah, that doesn't really go with what I was saying there. But I did... Here, okay, this is the one I meant to say, sorry. Okay, so a U.S. president does not have the authority to unilaterally impose a ceasefire on foreign combatants, but they can use the authority of the office to call for one, pressure parties toward a resolution, and engage in diplomatic negotiations. The president's power in this area is significant but not absolute. Okay? As it is limited by the separation of powers and reliance on diplomacy. Presidential powers and actions, chief diplomat. The president, as the nation's chief diplomat, can propose peace plans and engage directly with foreign leaders to broker an agreement. For example, a president could directly communicate the terms of a ceasefire proposal to the involved parties and the public, negotiating international agreements. The executive branch has the authority to negotiate treaties and other international agreements. The president can pursue a ceasefire through these channels, though Senate approval is required for formal treaties. A non-binding executive agreement does not require Senate consent. Commander-in-Chief. As Commander-in-Chief, the president has authority over the U.S. military, which kind of goes into another thing that I talk about. This can be used to influence a conflict, such as through the postponing or positioning, can't read today, of forces or the threat of military action, though this power is balanced by Congress. Foreign aid and sanctions. A president can use economic leverage by offering or withholding foreign aid or by imposing sanctions on one or more of the parties to pressure them into a ceasefire. Limitations on a president's authority. Separation of powers. The U.S. system of checks and balances means the president's foreign policy powers are not unlimited. Congress holds the power to declare war, appropriate funding, and regulate foreign commerce. Negotiation, not decree. A president's call for a ceasefire is a diplomatic action, not a legal order to foreign enemy entities. A foreign government or non-state actor can reject the terms of a proposal. Reliance on diplomacy. The success of a presidential demand for a ceasefire depends on diplomacy and the political will of the parties in conflict, as well as support from international partners. A president's plan can be ignored or only partially accepted by the combatants. War Powers Resolution. The War Powers Resolution of 1973 attempts to limit the president's ability to commit U.S. forces to conflict without congressional approval. While a ceasefire demand does not deploy troops, it is related to military affairs and can fall under the purview of this law. So keep that in mind in the next coming days, weeks, and months. Okay. All right. Calling up the National Guard to police certain cities. He's been doing that. Now he's threatening to take them to Chicago, which I know that either the governor or the mayor, like a month ago, said, you're not welcome here. This is partly due to his immigration crackdown. Think about... Yeah, we've got a storm outside, so you might be hearing some thunder. Think about this, you guys. Our own people are committing the same crimes. The man who killed Charlie Kirk was a radical American. Okay? He wasn't a foreigner. He was a radical American. The guy that tried to assassinate Trump was also an American, if I remember correctly. The guy from Las Vegas was an American. The one that did the mass shooting, which we recently just had the anniversary of that too. So, and these immigrants that he's trying to kick out of the country, some of them are here legally. So why is he trying to get rid of all these immigrants? Think about this, okay? Quoting Hamilton, he has one line in that whole play that the audience goes crazy over, and it says, "Immigrants, we get the job done." This country wouldn't be what it is if our founding fathers and our ancestors hadn't come over here from another country. We are all the products of immigrants, including our leader. Now, granted, not everybody comes here legally, I understand that, but when he's trying to get rid of legal immigrants, come on. He recently met with top military leaders, and he said, and I quote, "If I don't like somebody, I'm going to fire them on the spot." Let's talk about that, shall we? I got information on that one too, and it's kind of long too, so bear with me. A president generally has the legal authority to remove high-ranking military officials from their command or specific roles, though the process is more complex than simply firing them. The president's power, however, is not absolute and is influenced by laws and a key distinction between an officer's rank and their position. Removal from command or position. Constitutional authority. As Commander-in-Chief, the President can relieve any officer from any command or position, as was famously done when President Harry Truman removed General Douglas MacArthur during the Korean War. This is an inherent power delivered from the Constitution. Encouraging retirement. Rather than a direct dismissal, the President can make an officer's position untenable. For example, the president can terminate a 3- or 4-star officer's assignment. Under the federal law, these top-tier positions are tied to their rank, so terminating the assignment can cause the officer to revert to a lower permanent grade and face significant cuts in pay. The vast majority of senior officers will voluntarily retire in this situation. Removing the Joint Chiefs. The president can remove high-profile military leaders, such as the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, from their roles because they serve as advisors to the president. Limits on the presidential power, separation of rank and role. A key distinction is that a president can remove a general from their position, but they cannot unilaterally strip them of their rank in the armed forces. Removing an officer from the armed forces entirely, especially in peacetime, requires specific legal grounds, like a court-martial. Are you listening, Mr. Leader, so-called leader? Congressional laws. Since 1865, Congress has passed laws that place limits on the president's authority to dismiss military officers in peacetime. For example, 10 U.S.C. Section 1161A stipulates that a commissioned officer cannot be dismissed except by a court-martial sentence or, in time of war, by presidential order. Oath to the Constitution. Military officers swear an oath to the Constitution, not to a specific president. This means they are obligated to refuse an illegal order from the president, which I hope if he did this, these people are doing that. They're exercising that. The political context. While presidents have the legal authority to remove military leaders from their posts, such actions are rare and generally considered destabilizing for the military's apolitical traditions. The political motivations behind recent dismissals have faced criticism from some lawmakers and experts. These men and women in uniform are here to protect us and keep our country safe. Do you really want a leader to take these people out of their position just because he doesn't like them? What if that was your husband, your wife, your brother, your sister, your mother, your father, your nephew, your niece, whatever? Okay, we just lost power. Well, my camera's running out of battery, so that's okay. Think about that. The bottom line, if he hates you, he'll make your life hell. Well, in the UK recently, and actually while Queen Elizabeth was still alive, he thought it was proper to walk in front of both the Queen Elizabeth and King Charles, like he was more important to them. Okay? The thing I found funny about his most recent visit to the UK, to England, I don't know whose idea this was, but I thought it was hysterical. They put an image of him with Jeffrey Epstein on the walls of Windsor Castle. I wonder what he thought about that when he walked in and saw that. That was pretty funny. Now, before I get into kind of my outro, we were talking about government shutdowns. Let's see, where did I put that? Did I even put that on here? Yeah, I did. I put that on here somewhere. Okay, so let's go into government shutdowns. This isn't the first time, and it probably won't be the last time that the government is shut down. The first time that was that I found was in 1976 for Gerald Ford. Now, I didn't put the reason behind it, but I put the dates and how many days they were shut down. So in Gerald Ford, it was in 1976, September 30th through October 11th. So that was 10 days. Now, if you calculate it, that doesn't exactly equal 10 days. It should be 11 days, right? Or 12 days. But I think what they do is they take the last day as the day that the government reopened. So that's where these days are messed up. I didn't put the days in there. I took it from this website. 1977, a lot happened in Jimmy Carter's time. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times the government was shut down by in Jimmy Carter's time. 3 times in 77, which were very close together. Once September 30th through October 13th, which was 12 days. The next time was October 31st through November 9th, which was 8 days. And the third time, these were all in 77, November 30th through December 9th, which was also 8 days. In 1978, also under Jimmy Carter, September 30th. You notice that a lot of these are on September 30th through October 18th, which is 18 days. That was the third longest time that the government had been shut down. 1979, also Jimmy Carter, September 30th through October 12th, which was 11 days. Now we jump forward to Ronald Reagan. He has the most, with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 times. But his shutdowns were very brief. So in 1981, from November 20th through November 23rd, that was 2 days. In 1982, September 30th, again, through October 2nd, which was 1 day. Again in 82, December 17th through December 21st, 3 days. 1983, November 10th through November 14th was 3 days. 1984, September 30th, again, to October 3rd, which was 2 days. Again in 84, so the government reopened on October 30th, and then it closed again the same day and stayed closed until the 5th, which was 1 day. 1986, these were all in Ronald Reagan's time, October 30th through October 18th. Was I saying September? I meant September 30th through October 3rd, and then October 3rd to October 5th, and then October 10th, or October 16th through October 18th, which was 1 day. And then 87, again, Ronald Reagan, December 18th through December 20th, which was 1 day. So his shutdowns were very brief. Then we jump forward to 1990, George H.W. Bush, the first George Bush. His went from October 5th through October 9th, which was 3 days. Then we jump way forward to Bill Clinton's time, which was 1995, November 14th through November 19th. Sorry, it kind of got dark on. We still have no power. I don't know what happened, but I have no power right now. So that's why it's getting a little dark. Sorry. where am I at? Okay, so November 14th through November 19th was 5 days. And in 95 to 96, Bill Clinton was December 16th was till January 6th, which was 21 days. That was the second longest shutdown to date. Then we jump way forward to 2013 when Barack Obama was in office, and we had a government shutdown from October 1st to October 17th, which was 16 days. And then during Carpathia's first term in office, it was shut down and reopened the same day, 2018, and on February 9th. But this is what confuses me. I wonder if I meant to put January 9th, because the next one down says, again, 2018, January 20th through January 23rd, which was 3 days. And I didn't go back to fix that. And then 2018 to 2019, also in Carpathia's time, December 22nd through January 25th. That was 34 days. That's the longest this government has been shut down. And now, of course, we are in a shutdown, which started on October 1st. And I think this one was over the Obamacare bill, something about health care. So I'm not sure why the lights are out. So hopefully you can still see me okay. I know I'm a little bit in the dark. So what I'd like you to do is go back to my videos after you're done watching this one, and please watch my video from a year ago that I titled Choose Wisely, where I talk about the presidential election. That got quite a few views. I think last night I saw that it was like 68 views on that one. Especially the first couple minutes where I read from this newspaper that I had gotten in Wayzata around 4th of July that talks about the Constitution and how, well, I'll get into that here. So our current leader thinks he's in charge of everybody. He thinks he's hot shot. Maybe Meghan Markle should have married him. Anyway, but we, the people, plus Congress, have more power than the president. I'm sorry to say, but wealth and power doesn't make you invincible. And to quote Shania Twain, "So you're Donald Trump. That don't impress me at all. So you got money. Big deal. Elon Musk. So you got money. Who cares? You can't take it with you when you go." And you guys, I'm sure, are going to bash me in the comments about everything that I said here. But I do my research. I don't always go on what the news media tells us, because they will spin it to favor them. As I've said that many times in my videos, I form my own opinions, and I take it from the horse's mouth, because I remember a time when Nikolai Carpathia, was doing an interview years ago, way before the whole Rosie O'Donnell thing, and he was asked about his businesses and how he runs them and what his day is like, and he goes, well, I remember him saying this, and I'm kind of paraphrasing. He said, well, when I come home at the end of the day, my wife, whoever that may be, better have dinner on the table, be ready to take off my shoes and socks and massage my feet and cater to my every need. I know there's other men, and actually women are the same way, people I should say, that feel that way. Think that they are above the law, and that, you know, well, not above the law, but they think that they're the most important person in the room. That is the biggest narcissistic comment anybody could ever utter. And to me, that's disgusting. I would never, ever be with a person like that. Never. Never have I ever, never will I ever. I may have been with a guy that was very controlling, but he never made me take off his shoes and socks and massage his feet. Never, ever, ever would I be with somebody like that. There's some people that don't mind that. And more power to you, but, you know, sorry, but that don't impress me. Most people won't go for somebody like that, male or female. And you shouldn't raise your children to be that way either. You know, I see a lot of these Dr. Phil episodes where the parents are like, "Oh, I grew up without," or even if they did grow up in that kind of environment, they pass it on to their children. "Oh, I just can't say no to them. You know, they want something, I'm going to get it for them." Well, that's not teaching them, their children, self-reliance, because eventually mommy and daddy aren't going to be there anymore, and they're not always going to find somebody that's going to cater to their every whim. They're not going to find somebody who's an Elon Musk or a Mark Zuckerberg or Bill Gates or, you know, any of these rich people that are going to give them everything they want. You know, people like that I want to take to a homeless community and show them the other side of the world. And say, "Look at these people. Some of these people are here by choice, but a lot of these people couldn't make it on their own. And now they're homeless with their children, sleeping on the street, sleeping in a tent." And that's the other thing about this guy. He wants to get rid of all these homeless encampments, which, okay, more power to him, but he's trying to cut funding for the people that are trying to help those folks. Case in point, Mary Jo Copeland, that I talk about quite frequently, who is the director and the founder of Sharing and Caring Hands, which is a homeless, she helps the homeless. And she doesn't just give them room and board and food and clothing and all that stuff. She educates these people to get them on their feet. So it's not just a handout, it's a hand up. You know, Barack Obama gave her like a Medal of Honor one time for her work. And God bless her, you know. She doesn't again, to quote Hamilton, "I never spent a cent that wasn't mine." She relies on donations, but she never pockets that money. It goes directly to the homeless. And I'm sure there's people that, for those of you that live out of state or out of the country, I'm sure there's people in your area that are like that too, that do that. And God bless them for that. I wish I had the resources to do something like that, but unfortunately I don't even have the money right now to take care of myself, much less other people. So anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you go. Hopefully the power doesn't stay out too long because it's getting kind of hot and stuffy in here. And I'm going to have to upload this video, and if the power doesn't come back on, it's not going to be today because today is October 5th. And so I wanted to kind of get this out because I did post in my Facebook, in my Chloe Facebook page about it. I do want to make a point here. Actually, Silver Star just messaged me. I gotta go into that. Sorry guys, hang on a second. Oh, okay. Silver Star is going to be coming over today. So I just let her know that I was recording this video. But, okay, so I got a brand new phone, okay? I had to because unfortunately my other phone that I had, that I relied on for everything, fell on the cement concrete. That made absolutely no sense. Fell on the floor and cracked the screen all up. And yeah, I can still use it, but it's like I kept dropping it. Like I dropped it one time and there was like a little crack, and so I'm like, okay, I'm going to be really careful this time. And I didn't have the money to get one of those protectors like I have on this one at the time. So every time I dropped it, it would drop on the hard floor and it would crack the screen. Well, one time it dropped on the floor, and this was at work, and it shattered the glass. So there's cracks all over the screen. So I thought, you know, I'm just going to go and get myself a new phone. So thankfully, most everything I was able to transfer onto my new phone, onto this one. It transferred Facebook, it transferred most everything, my pictures, everything. I had to reload some of the games that I had been playing, which kind of sucked because with Happy Color, I had colored like thousands and thousands and thousands of pictures. Then I had to start over from scratch. So I did have to download some new stuff onto my phone. My bank is another one. But unfortunately, when it transferred my Facebook over, it only transferred the Facebook from my real name, and it didn't transfer my Chloe Murphy page. So I haven't been brave enough to try to re-sign into my Facebook under my Chloe Murphy page. Now, like I said, the other phone still works, and that one still has Facebook on it. So I'm able to get into my Chloe Facebook page on that phone. And I realized I hadn't posted anything on there for about a month. And so I did put a post up yesterday on the 4th saying that I'd be uploading this video today. And like I said, I didn't expect the power to go out. So hopefully I can get this uploaded today on the 5th of October. But in any case, I haven't had I'm a little nervous about trying to get into that other page, because if the password information didn't get transferred over to this phone, I don't remember my username and my password. And I think my username is an email address, and I don't remember which email address I used. Now, granted, I could reset that, but I'm also afraid of trying to do that because now I don't also remember my password to get into my real account, or my real name account. That should be saved on this phone, I would think. Some of the passwords did transfer over, but not everything. So some of them I've had to change again too. So in any case, I just kind of wanted to go on a little bit of a rant today. And just, be cautious, because with that approval rating grid I showed you, I want to pose a question to you. You can use it as rhetorical, whatever. But for those of you that did or do support our current president, after everything he's done in recent months, since January this time around, do you still support him? What would cause you, what acts could he do to cause you not to support him? And ask yourself why you support this man. And you guys could be asking me the same question, why don't you support him? Well, because of all of this. He is not putting the people's best interest in mind. He's putting his own agenda above those of us that put him in office. Because think about this, when we go for an election, he wouldn't be in office if we hadn't voted him in. And I'm pointing to myself, I did not vote for him. Didn't vote for him the first time either. But any president would not be in that position had you and I not put them there. We hire the person. So without our vote getting them into office, as much as he'd like to have tried to bully his way back in after he lost the first time, he's abusing his power. He really is. He thinks he's God of the universe. I'm sorry. My Lord Jesus and his Father are who I will bow the knee to. They are the only ones that control my life. They created me. I have free will. But I hope that on the day I die, I stand before them and hear them say, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Yes, I am a Christian. Not that I bash any other religion. Freedom of freedom of religion, First Amendment. You have every right to believe what you want to believe in our leader, in the leaders of other countries, in other people, in God, in whatever God you worship. I don't have to agree with it, but I believe in God. Jesus died on the cross for me. He died on the cross for you. He died on the cross for our leader. He died on the cross for Osama bin Laden and Hitler and Stalin and Lenin and all these other Satan insane, I called him Saddam Hussein. He died for everybody. He would love everybody to follow him. Not everybody's going to. But I do. I follow him. And I know some people, I know I'm kind of going off topic here, but I know some people are atheists and agnostics and whatever. They don't believe in God, or they believe there is a God, but that he doesn't, there might be other powers out there or whatever. Well, let me put it to you like this. A year ago, I was pleading with all of you to pray, and if you could, give to the GoFundMe for my dear friend Chris Fleming. He is now cancer-free. He was close to being on his deathbed. He had no immune system. This leukemia really killed his system. And because people across the world prayed for him, for those of you that don't even know who Chris Fleming is, I'm not talking about the comedian. I am talking about the paranormal investigator who has been on shows like Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters, Help My House is Haunted, Dead Famous, that's where I found him from. He's a paranormal investigator, but he grew up as a Christian, as a Catholic. So it's not like he doesn't believe in God. He's not a devil worshiper, okay? Just because you're into the paranormal doesn't make you a devil worshiper. I'm sorry. I have not been into the paranormal for many, many, many months. Once in a while, when there's a paranormal conference, or what I call a Paracon, in town, and there's people that I have met over the years that I know are going to be there, and it's within driving distance for me, I will go. Just to learn new things and meet up with friends. It doesn't mean I have a Ouija board in my house. It doesn't mean that I have dowsing rods. It doesn't mean that I talk to the devil. I don't. The only reason I talk to the devil is say, run, devil, run, or get behind me. Because I believe in God. Now granted, so did the devil. He can quote scripture as well as the next man. But he tried to put himself in a position over God. And God said, you're out. The devil didn't create the world. God did. And that's who I bow the knee to. Not this guy. Never have and never will. He needs to learn his place. He needs to be brought down several thousand pecks. And for him to say, oh, if you elect me as president, you'll never have to elect another president ever again. And I know there's been talk in the last 10 months that he plans, or that he's mentioned about reversing what FDR did. FDR, if you think about it, FDR was our only president that served more than 2 terms, even though up to his time, any of the previous presidents before him could have served more than 2 terms, but he changed that. And our current leader was talking about it. I haven't heard about much of it lately, that he was thinking of reversing that so that he could serve another term. But I think that has to be approved by Congress, if I remember right. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go at this point. Like I said, hopefully I can get this video up today, October 5th. I was going to record this on my digital recorder. Yeah, I've got an audio diary. that I do that was inspired by me reading The Diary of Anne Frank. So I started it in September of 2012. What the frig was that? I hear all kinds of weird noises in here. It's eerie how calm it is outside right now. We're supposed to be, well, I guess more northern Minnesota is supposed to be under a wind advisory. But anyway, as I was saying, since 2012, I've had an audio diary where I've got a whole bunch of digital recorders. 2 of them I have my audio diary on. I call it my audio diary. And every now and again, I'll pick it up, I'll say the date and the time that I'm recording, and then I'll talk about my life, about my kids' lives, about doing YouTube, about news stories that have happened. So when I started it in September of 2012, Sandy Hook hadn't even happened, because that happened in December of 2012. So I had started it just a couple months before. And originally, I was going to do from September 1st through 9/11, and I was going to leave it at that. But I thought, why not just continue it? So I do continue that to this day. And my plan was, when I was recording this video, I was going to record on that as well, but I didn't do that. Oopsie, my bad. Maybe on my next video I'll do that. And it's kind of my time capsule for when I'm dead and gone. My kids can listen to it. I talk about my pets. 2012, I only had Lucky at that time. Rainbow I had already put down, because I had put her down in 2009. So she had been gone for 3 years by that point. But I started out talking about myself and my family and growing up and stuff like that. I talk about the abuse that I endured, which I am noodling about putting out a video going into a little more detail about that. Not graphic detail, but, and maybe not naming the person that was, or the one person, I should say, that was abusive to me growing up, until after this person passes away. But I know I've hinted at the fact that I have been abused in every way, shape, and form, verbally, mentally, physically, sexually. I don't put myself into the Me Too category, though. But anyway, I'm way off topic, and I keep trying to do my outro, and I keep rambling on. I tend to do that a lot. So, since Silver Star is on her way, perhaps we can maybe do another video with her and me, and it might be more entertaining, more lighthearted. God only knows what that video will be about. But I've been remiss about doing this because I've been afraid of the backlash. And putting this out there may... Oh, that's something I didn't mention about... Where was that? I know I put that in here somewhere. Did I put it past this? No, where did I put that? I know I put something about Jimmy Kimmel in here too, or Jimmy Fallon. Because I had to change that. See, here I am again, like... Oh, that's where it ended. Because I forgot that part. Okay, so the government shut down. Sorry, going back into my notes really quickly. As far as the government shutdown, he's planning on also firing thousands of government workers during this time. I don't know if he has or not. And that led into Jimmy Kimmel getting kicked off the air. He said, he was questioned about this on his plane one time, about what he thought about Jimmy Kimmel. And he goes, well, Jimmy Kimmel's a nut job. He likes to call people names like he's better than everybody else. He goes, Jimmy Kimmel has no ratings. He has no talent. He has no ratings. Well, when Jimmy Kimmel came back on the air, you can look this up on YouTube. I think you type in the words Jimmy Kimmel is back. And on the thumbnail, it shows a picture of him with his little logo in the corner. And it says, as I was saying, ... And in there, he starts it with the news media talking about him coming back on the air. He was gone for like 6 days or something. He was kicked off the air for what he said about the death of Charlie Kirk. And he apologized to everybody for that. And he also played different snippets from different people. And one of them happened to be from our president. And when he played this little clip on the airplane where the reporter asked him about Jimmy Kimmel, he goes, yeah, Jimmy Kimmel's a nut job and you know, he had no ratings. Well, then when it cuts back to Jimmy Kimmel on his stage, the audience starts booing and, ooh, you know, whatever. And Jimmy Kimmel looks in the camera, he goes, I do tonight. And the audience erupted in cheers. So it was amazing that he did that. I mean, look at how many people came forward. Over 200 signatures from celebrities and other talk show hosts that demanded they put him back on the air. Disney Plus picked him up. ABC dropped him. But Disney Plus and I think HBO Max picked him up. So he wasn't, when he came back on the air, he wasn't broadcast in several cities, but most of the country, I think 40% or 20% of the country couldn't see him except when it went on YouTube. And it's still that way. And now our president is trying to get people like Jimmy Fallon kicked off and all these other talk show hosts kicked off the air and trying to get NBC to fire everybody else simply because he doesn't like what these people are saying about him. Again, if you don't like him, he'll do something to you. He'll get you fired. He'll ruin your life. He can't do that unless you allow him to. So, come at me. Go ahead, Mr. President. And I use that term very lightly. You are Nikolai Carpathia. And you will one day meet your end, just like the rest of us will. That's not a threat. Just want to make that clear. Everybody dies. You are not God. Definitely not the God of the Bible, for sure. So, as Silver Star is on her way over, I am now going to shut up. And I may not be able to do another video because the battery life, I only have one battery for this camera, and I'd have to recharge my battery. And because I still don't have power, I probably won't be able to make another video for you here. But in any case, thank you for joining me today. Thank you for listening to me rant, exercising my First Amendment rights for freedom of speech. You're welcome to leave your comments, but if they are threatening comments, if they are super negative comments, I also have the right to delete those. I may leave them up to give you your First Amendment rights for freedom of speech, which you all are welcome to exercise. I hadn't asked my Slovenian friends what they thought about what they've seen, or, you know, asking them, first of all, what they've been reported on over in Slovenia and what they think about it, but nobody got back to me because I was going to include that in this video as well. But if they do, I will include that in a future video. So, unfortunately, none of them got back to me. So I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Love y'all. Love you. Have a sunny day. Bye.